Welcome back to the RugDoc YouTube channel. In tonight's video, we're taking another look at Axie Infinity and catching up on our farm and seeing what kind of progress we've made. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. First up, though, we have some important news. I'm going to read through the headline here. TheStreet.com is reporting Mark Cuban-backed Axie Infinity overtakes NBA Top Shot in NFT sales. Axie Infinity comes from out of nowhere to take the #1 spot in weekly NFT sales. And it's not out of nowhere if you're a follower of this channel. More than likely, you're already in on it and making some good money. But you can tell it's out of nowhere for everyone else because TheStreet.com couldn't even get the name of the game's developer correct in the drop head, calling them Mavis Sky, which is incorrect. It's kind of important to get the name of the fastest growing company in history correct. And the correct name is Sky Mavis, and it just broke $1 billion in the last 30 days on its meteoric rise as it continues to flex. There's nothing stopping Axie Infinity, and it's continuing to lift people out of poverty simply by grinding away at the Pokemon-inspired NFT game on a regular basis. If you're wondering, is there still time? You're still early because the gigantic consumerism titan of the world, the United States of America, still hasn't realized that this game even exists. This is still a buy for me, but in the interest of transparency, you should know I do own significant holdings in Axie and its Ronin sidechain ecosystem, but I do not believe it to be too late whatsoever. I'm super long all the way up. I'm very bullish on this project, and it's also worth noting several cryptocurrency traders are short AXS. They are short this position. Long term, they do not think it's going to sustain the growth, and I don't think they understand the project. Well, we'll get back to that stuff later. Those are just some opinions, so you have something to work with here as you're listening to what I'm saying. All right, we have our second wave of Axies. The breed is ready to rock. As you can see, we still have 12 Axies in total, including the 6 eggs there before you. This went through the 5-day cycle, so we went through the breeding process, spent the money, right? You got to pay for that, and then you get all the eggs, and now we're going to morph these into adults, okay? So I'm going to go through that process here on screen and just start morphing. And while we're doing that, too, I'm going to cover some other stuff, all right? Now, as you can see, the 12 Axies that we're down to, I believe I had a bigger position on this last time on the last video that we showed. I'm not 100% sure that having it directly in front of me or having my notes, but it's important to note that I did move some Axies out. We are doing scholarships. If you are interested, just make sure you let us know. But we're doing scholarships and we're starting to build those positions. I think Baymax is taking the applications on that, from my understanding. But just follow up and we'll get you some more information on that. But if you're wondering, yes, we're not actually down in size. We're not shrinking. We're not selling off assets. We just have moved those to other scholar accounts. So we're going through here quickly and just morphing these into adults, depending on the type of Axies that we get coming out, is going to make the decision on whether or not we're going to hold or sell these. And remember, these are NFTs. So the selling part can be a little bit tricky as far as capital gains and that whole world is concerned. Just understanding you want to make sure you check with a tax professional when you're doing this stuff. But anyway, this is the unfolding part. We're going to get you the results and see how we did. I was taking a couple of the 97, 96 percentages and trying to get a good mix. And as long as there's not anything too crazy, this one's going to make us a bunch of money too. The cost on these was $1,000. Sorry, the cost on these was $900 and some small change. So I would say about $310 is your cost on this. And I do have calculations. And I think there's a calculator video in here too. I can always throw those up if you guys ever want to see those. I do have some coming later. But we're looking at about $300 for one Axie. And each team is 3 Axies. So if we do, 3 and 3, that's 2 full teams. The cost on that is $2,000 at today's rates. Remember, the AXS and Smooth Love Potion prices do change. As that fluctuates, that volatility is going to give us a better understanding what that cost is. And right now, as I'm recording this, not what you're seeing on screen, but the price of Axies AXS coin has risen so high from traders on the bullish news that it just broke that $1 billion mark and is beating up on the NBA. This thing is trading so high that the game developers lowered the breeding cost on Axies from 4 down to 2 tokens. So you only need 2 AXS now because they're trading for $70 a pop. When I got into this game, a couple weeks back, over a month ago now, the cost of the AXS I think was under $16 a token. It's over 70 for one. So that's that 400% increase. But in this video, the prices are what they are, a little bit different. Today, it's changed, okay? So we did have mutations on the YAM, on the D for our tail, right? So the dominant trait on the tail coming back is a YAM. I decided this is just an Axie I'm going to sell. I wanted to sell a few of them to keep some money coming in without having to invest complete new bags every time. Because I am increasing my size on this one as we go. I continue to put money into it, but I'm trying to also strike a little bit of a balance where the game's kind of paying for itself. So I'm selling off a couple of these Axies, and that would include ones that have those kind of mutations, like the YAM tail on this one, on this last one here. We just decided to get rid of that. Okay, we're going to cut bait on a couple. We're going to hold a couple. But as we start to grow this, the important thing is we're going to hold the Axie count. We might not keep every single Axie, but we want to hold these and just flip them into something that might be a better team for the developers are moving towards PvP more and more because PvE is easy to exploit for SLP gain. We want to start building a good team to get the most return to keep the best players using our scholarships. So it would benefit us to invest in better squads. So you don't want to send somebody out there with 3 plants because I got a plant breeding farm and have that be their entire team. We don't want to do that. We want to switch out some of the plants. So I'm going to get additional Axies that might be part of the plant breed, but I'll flip them, sell, and then buy and maybe pick up the cost of the transfer to get a better Axie that fits and makes a better team, makes better sense for it to be a PvP fighting squad versus running around with 3 plant Axies and not being very effective. Remember, they want to do that because they want to raise competition. They want people to get engaged in the game, and that's why they're doing that. So as you can see, I'm floating around here. I believe I'm checking the floor price on Axies in this part of the clip. So you can get an idea of what the market is doing at this point. Yeah, I'm checking the floor Axie price. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep, if I grow it to 16, I want to stay at 16. I don't want to take it down to 12 and then try to work it back up. One of the things you're going to notice in the next couple of videos, I'm changing the breeding strategy slightly. We're going to keep the plant Axies, and I still have a significant amount ready to breed, but I'm also moving a little bit more towards the birds, and I have specific ones in mind, and this is a strategy specific to me that makes sense with my goals and the operation that I'm running. So it might not be the best investment for you just because you see what I'm doing. Do your own research and make sure that makes sense for you. I am, though, however, moving into the bird Axies, as you can see more pink popping up here. Okay, and I'm breeding and I'm getting into these. They cost more. They are no BS. They go for a lot more money. And if you get into some of these more meta versions, they can have 5 breeds on them and still run you an ETH or more, which is insane, right? You can only breed it 2 times. I mean, you're paying that price. You might as well go all the way, right? You only breed it 2 times. You're doing it for that D and that clean R1 that has your meta. You need to have that first set of recessive traits, meta and clean, if you're going to be able to sustain a breeding farm of any kind. Otherwise, you got to keep running back to the watering hole, and you're paying a full ETH, which right now is $3,100, just to get the right mix so you can breed them. It doesn't make sense. You want to get it right off the bat and get you a little farm going so you can go back to the well. Remember, once you have the correct D, R1, R2 recessive traits, you can just farm this over and over. You don't have to keep going back, but you have to have enough so that way you don't run into problems where you're trying to breed one with its mother again and you can't do that kind of stuff, or the parents of it. You have to have the ABCD method. If you're not familiar with that, just Google it or search around here. I believe we do have it up on one of our past episodes. But it's important, if you're doing that structure, to get that consistency with the D dominant traits and the R1 recessive. You want those to both match meta as closely as possible. Well, now you're going to watch mine and say, you're not doing that? That's right, I'm not. Because there's simply none in existence. They don't exist. Okay? You can find them. I think I found one at almost 2 ETH. And so I can't pay $6,200 for that. Just wouldn't be a smart investment at this point. So I'm going to I have my own plan. Don't follow what I'm doing. You got to make your own, okay? That being said, you can't really get into any of these at a really good price. I scooped up some really good ones with like 4 breeds on them, and I scooped them up under market, and they had clean D1s and clean D1s. They had clean dominant traits and clean R1 recessives. This is what you need if you're going to do this on scale. And folks don't understand the value in that. That's why I was able to scoop it up with only 4 breeds on it. So I took it to 6, but it's because I'm playing a more long-term game with sustainability in my farm. Other folks aren't really doing that, okay? Depending on who you're watching. But just be aware of it. And remember, too, some of these guys you're watching have been doing this for months. And they're not coming from now. These are problems happening now when AXS is $70 some odd and SLP is, you can't, the price of Axies makes it improbable profitability wise that you can use 4, 5, 6 breeds at a time on single Axies. You can't do that. Nobody is. They're cutting them loose at 3. But some of these guys that have been doing this, they have 1 million Axies because they were doing this when it was 5 cents. Okay? Their plan, how they built to the point where they can just go out and do all that stuff, will not work in this environment. What I'm doing, I think, is the most efficient way it can be done on a budget. And when I say budget, I'm spending thousands of dollars. So that might not even be your budget, right? We got, $20K on this. So this is, if you're not putting up those kind of dollars, it wouldn't even be possible for you. I'm going back and changing the way that I built my farm a little bit. So it's going to have it's going to have those added costs, but I have a plan. If you're coming at it fresh and you're doing your research now and you don't have 5 million other people trying to get in on the same thing that you're doing, that's kind of pushing the market down on those, particular breeds. It's just breeding. You're just changing. For me, I just changed up what I was doing. And now I have 2 different Axies that make sense. I can breed and I can have a whole thing, right? So make sure you're doing something like that. You have a strategy in place. All right, in this next part of the clip here, we're looking at the prices versus the cost on these guys. We're going to get an idea, a good sense of what the value of all of our Axies are. I found it to be 600 was the average based on using the Axie.tech website. They have a pricing tool. It's amazing. These guys nailed it. And they got a lot of other cool things on there too. Check them out. And I believe the guy's got a little tip jar if you want to buy them a beer. So buy beers accordingly. The average cost... The average cost on all these is $300 each. So if you work that all the way out, $900 for a 3-set team, and then $1,800 for my 6, and then we look at the 600, around $600 would be the profit we're looking at based off of Axie.tech. So obviously that would be another $1,800 to the good in value. We're not going to liquidate all of our Axies. We're going to sell some. We're going to hold some. But this is an approximate value so we can understand if we're making good investment decisions. Winners keep score. So if you don't know your numbers, you need to figure that out. You need to go back, write your stuff down, get an idea so you know if you're being profitable, so you know if your choices are prudent. Okay? But as we flip through here, you're seeing me run the numbers on these guys. I got them six new Axies. We got fresh ones just cracked. $600 is the number. We take the $1,800 in cost, and that's how we got it. I just want to show you some numbers so that you understand kind of how I look at it and how I base my decisions, and then you can use that as well. Okay. All right, so that's going to be the first part. I'm going to cut them in half. There's a lot of really important stuff about the price of AXS, about how we're just going to 2 AXS coins instead of 4. The developers lowering that. There's some good stuff on numbers. There's good stuff on ABCD. I want to fit all of this in. It's important. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to drop the next one tomorrow. But this is all important. Make sure that you take notes and you're staying up to snuff on everything, okay? Awesome. And that's going to wrap it up for us in this video. And RugDoc appreciates you. We appreciate you stopping by and your continued support. Make sure you check us out at rugdoc.io for more information and follow us on Twitter at rugdoc.io. And make sure you give us a shout out or tweet. And you can also leave some comments down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification icon so you know when we're coming with more hot stuff that you need to know right away. A lot of important news coming. We're bringing it all to you, so make sure you stay here. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'll talk to you next time. Until then, take care.